Hi everyone, welcome to the Search Show. So today I want to talk about all the surveillance era security. Um, from the old times when it comes to the new generation, and I remember days where in order to fill out paperwork, you had to go to the building by yourself. You had to fill everything. Everything was written. Everything was given, in paper. But the amazing thing is we had a great security. No one really know who I was unless I went to the government building and they needed the information. I didn't have to worry anybody seeing my identity because everything was, in that building. So unless somebody decided to go to that building and search for my file with hands opening all thousands of drawers just to look for me, they wouldn't know. Even actually when I used to go to a building, government building just to get some information or get my birth certificate, you had to go to different departments, different floors, wait for them to find your information, to find out who you are. And to tell you the truth, that's security, that's privacy. So that's security, that's privacy. I never had to worry about anybody knowing who I am except the government when I leave the country, and I had to show them my ticket and my passport. And then that was it, no big deal. I showed my ID when I wanted to get like driving license, and that was that. But now they're talking about everything for your security. Three code. First, it was one password, that no one invades you. Second one was the second password. Now it's a facial password and thumbprint password and facial recognition password. And so they're going to take your heartbeat password. And then actually, no, let's just install cameras everywhere just for your own security. Really? I don't feel secure. I don't feel secure even making this video because I know there is a camera here and I don't know if somebody's looking at it. I mean, obviously I'm going to post it online so everybody's going to look at it, but do you know what I mean? What else are you going to invent? There's not security. And even creating cars that, like, scan your face and everything else just to focus that you're driving, like, really? How about, better yet, instead of all these cameras watching you when you're driving, what's happening and following your eyes, how about just this? Create a lock on the door that before I come in, I have to blow. And then if it detects alcohol, I'm not going to be able to open the door. That's it. That's fine enough for me. But you don't have to scan my eyes when I'm driving. You don't have to watch my face, what I'm doing when I'm driving. That's none of your business, okay? And another thing is, all the security issues, I'm sorry, but that's just our surveillance, it's all about just wanting to know what we're doing and what's happening. The same thing about the banks. Oh, you have a card, don't worry about it. And all the crypto, and then you're not going to be, nobody's going to steal money. Really? So what happened during COVID when people rebelled against the government, issuing that you have to wear mask and all these things, they closed the bank accounts of people, right? So wasn't the money much more safer in your own home when you had cash? I think cash is the safest thing to use. And to tell you the truth, I think it's going to be better far enough for all of us just to use cash instead of all these banks and all this, like cards. And, if you don't have the money to buy something, then don't buy it, But instead of using cards and put money in a bank, do you know that every time you put money in a bank, they're putting it on the international account? That's why you cannot take them out, and it takes 3 days to actually process because they're collecting all that money, and then that money goes to central banks when they actually reap of the interest of that money. So your own money is not yours. Okay, it's not yours. And if they want it, they can black at any time. All right, so we have all this fraud everywhere, right? About people stealing millions, right? And then you just don't pay taxes, and then they're gonna take all your money from your bank account. They just close it and open. So to tell you the truth, I'd rather keep the money in my own house. I mean, obviously, I'm not keeping in the house, but do you know what I'm saying? It's just like it's better to create something else to keep your cash when you're gonna need it than putting in a bank. What about if there's gonna be cyber attack or something? I mean, all that security. Well, it's not really security because if all my money is in on the internet, that it's not really secure because now we have AI and AI can access it, or some hacker who's really smart can program an AI, and the AI itself is gonna go in there and close all the accounts of the people. What are you gonna do? How are you going to pay for food? How are you going to go to the store? And if they decide that the stores like in China, you have to pay with your hand, you're not going to be able to do anything. May as well just buy a farm and make your own thing and stay away somewhere. And some people are doing that, and I actually think that's a very smart idea. But all this, I'm just going to refer to this security stuff and all these cameras. This is all to control us. I believe this is the mark of the beast. All the civilian cameras and everything is just the mark of the beast. That surveillance. That's just to monitor you and to control you. Okay, so the freedom that they say, oh, freedom and AI and everything else is so great. No, it's a big trap. Okay, I felt much more safer when I didn't have a bank account, when I had all the money in my own house and I didn't have to worry about or putting in a safety box in the bank, and that's it. No one has access except me and the key. And that's where the security was. Do I feel safe that all my information is online? No, I don't. I completely don't feel safe with that. I don't care how many passwords you put out there, somebody's always going to break it. All right. So the safest thing to do is to keep all that paperwork in one building, and then guess what? You're going to take hours to find it. So no, I felt literally safer when the world was in 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, okay, with the old stuff, with the stuff that did not have all that computerized amazing technology. And to tell you the truth, technology is good if you use it for good, but right now it's just literally ridiculous. I love the fact that we can make videos and let each other know what we're thinking, and everybody can access different information. But I do not like the fact that the government and whoever identities are, they're trying to control us. So next thing you know, they're going to put cameras in the bathroom, and they're going to say, okay, this is for your own health. We're just going to know how big your poop was or how much you peed, so that way we'll know exactly what's going on in your life, and where your health is at. No, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'll stick to myself, all right? And the same thing, like, with the banks, take your money out of the bank. Put it in the deposit box, in a safe, Not in your home, obviously, but, you can keep it somewhere else. Old people knew what they were doing. They were digging, holes in the ground and putting the money there. That way nobody knew where it was except them alone, So, but putting in a bank, and then somebody one day decides that, oh, maybe AI decides, you know what, I don't like this person, what they put on TV. I'm just going to, close their account, and they're done, controlling you through fear. So, yeah, security with all these passwords is just annoying. I'm just going to say it's totally annoying. I hate the fact that now when I go to work, I have to use a password on my private phone to log in so that they know what time I'm coming. What about the paper that we used to do? There was a piece of paper, you went to the machine, click, click, it tells you exactly what time you came in. No need for anything. There was no, oh, it didn't register, and then people paying penalties. How come you didn't take your break? How come you didn't do this? How come you didn't do that? No. All this technology is actually making life more difficult than it was before. Okay, it was quite simple then. All right. So yeah, that's my scoop on it. I'm sorry. I like to vent sometimes about the things that I don't think are going right in this world, and this is one of them. So please do not put any more security things. I don't believe it. I wonder if a lot of other people believe that this is all for my good. If it was for my good, literally, I tell you what the good thing is for me would be. I don't want a bank. I want to keep my own money. I want the all stores to use cash and maybe credit cards or cards when needed in emergency, but not on every day. All right. I don't want anybody watching me. I don't need no surveillance cameras. Okay. I'll pay for my stuff. I will not steal. I pay for my stuff. I always do. I don't steal. I don't need to steal. Okay. I'm working hard for my money, and I'm proud of what I do, and how I do, and my work that I provide for people and how I do it. And that brings me joy. And I don't need anybody to surveillance me. I don't need you to know everything about me. And my physical information or my, medical stuff, that's my business. It's nobody else's business. And this is another thing that is amazing. You go to the store and they say, okay, pharmacy, and they say, what's your day of birth? And everybody screams out the day of birth. Do you understand that your day of birth is one of the identities that they're going to use to take stuff out? So why would you go to a pharmacy, okay, or to a hospital, and they say, okay, what's your day of birth? And you just let it out there. And then say, what's your name? And they let it out there. You're literally telling everybody what your name is and what your date of birth is, all right? I don't need anything else. A thief does not need anything else, all right? I'm not a thief, so I'm just saying I don't need anything else. But what I'm saying is that if somebody wanted to take your identity, you screamed it out there. When I go somewhere and they ask me for my date of birth, they always look at me crazy, like, why is she saying this? Why is she giving me a piece of paper? Because I write my information on a piece of paper. One time, this one woman was so defiant. She didn't like what I did, that I wrote on a piece of paper and I didn't say it out loud. She read it. And I said, do you understand HIPAA? You just violated HIPAA. HIPAA is supposed to protect my private rights and my private information. So do you want me to report you right now? And she freaked out, all right? But yeah, this is the reason why you should not be screaming out. And yeah, all that information is already online. So to tell you the truth, no matter how many passwords you do, how many faces reading, how many all different stuff they say that, this is for your protection, it's not. It's actually for them to know exactly what you're doing and how you're doing and where you're doing and what you're doing. So yeah, this is my scoop on it. If you share my views and you share my ideas, click a like right there, subscribe, or even tell me your own things. Like you post online and tell me what you frustrating with. Maybe I'll do a video about it. But yeah, to tell you the truth, I really wish that sometimes times came back to where you used to fill out paper stuff. It didn't even take that long, because sometimes now it's even longer it takes to put stuff information on the computer, and retrieve it, than actually just coming in and filling it out. Coming to work was easier. Just punch in your time and then get out, and not some fingerprinting or facial scanning and all that other stuff. So stupid. And just paying with cash and going to the store, paying and leaving, instead of using my card or my fingerprint or whatever. And especially putting my money in the bank, where that one place where your money is not safe, it's in the bank. I'm just gonna let you know, it's in the bank. That's where your money is not safe. And who's making money out of you? They are. And another thing is, why do I have to follow the bank rules of, for instance, taking only, I don't know, $500 a day from my bank account? I'm working very hard for my money. And if I go to the bank, I want to take out money as much as possible. Nobody should worry about, where I got my money from and how I got my money from. If I want to deposit $2,000 because I saved it up, I have to bring a receipt from what I did. I'm like, you already have my receipts, my paychecks. I decided to keep the cash, and now I have to explain to you why I kept the cash and why I am depositing in the bank and where I got the money from. This is ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. So anyway, that's just my thought. If you experience anything, or you're feeling the same way I do, or you have another ideas, maybe good, let's put them out there and let's talk about how we feel, because we only have each other. All right? Thanks.